Hello crazy people, it's Ginger here. Welcome back to another sketching video, and we are back, but this time we're with my new sketchbook. Now I did film that one, but it got corrupted, and I filmed what I thought was all of this one, but due to a call and an intermittent break I didn't hit unpause for the second half, so completely missed it. So you guys are not going to get a video on this one, which is a shame because I absolutely love how this one turned out. This one's great, and I love the purple overtones, and the pastels really kind of added the texture for the grass on the slopes. But yeah, really loving how this one turned out with all the different textures. So we're going to flip over and we're going to do another long one. So we've got that one, so I need to find another portrait image in my bank of photos to do that one. So we've got that one, so we're going to turn over and we'll do another double page spread on this one. Make sure in it. So this is my new Stillman Birn sketchbook. So this one's the green, not the blue, and the blue is the beta, this is the delta, and the pages, as you can see in this one, are cream, so that does kind of affect what you do. You do have to think about that a little bit more, your kind of colourings because of it. Right, shall we start off? I want to start off by sketching. It really worked really well with this one, and you can kind of see some of the blue come through from where I sketched it, which I think is great. Thing is, there's less blue on this one, so actually I think I might use a colour that's more akin to the actual rocks, so like a pink. I could go peach, but I think it's more pink than peach. And what am I doing? I want to put this one away. So these are just some cheap fine liners that I bought from The Works. The Works in UK is a bit like Michael's, I would probably say, except just the arts and crafts section. So let's take a look and see what colour we want. I'm thinking that might be too pink. This might be a good colour actually because it's closer and barely see it. Nah. Let's not do that one then. Let's do one of the pinks. This might be brighter. Let's do it somewhere in. I know I'm going to be able to cover it up. Yeah, that's a bit better. Right, let's use this one. And just kind of roughly sketch out, and I mean rough, you've got to do this quick, you don't want to be thinking about it too much. So we know we've got a very short amount of sea before we actually come into this cliff. So we're going to bring this down to here. There's a little bump, and then that continues this way before we get the start of the broken actual cliff face, which kind of comes down like that. I think I've gone too far. I think actually that needs to come up a wee bit to there, which makes a bit more sense before it kind of. You've got this flat bit sticking out. Actually, that flat bit, that comes down, and then it sticks out a little bit more, down, round, and that comes down to there, and then in, because there's water there, actually comes that way, and then another rock that you can barely see, because then we've got here, we've got this curved sweep of grass, and that curves again that way, but also kind of comes up like this, and a bit more jaggedy, and across, and then it continues up to about here. So that's fine, that's good. Right, back onto this one, our grass here. Again, like the other one, it does go quite high up. There's also lots of little weird flowers in that, so I'm looking forward to adding those in. That'll be fun. Right, so that's our grass. We've got this cutting here, so that's where the secondary cliff face is that comes out, and we'll just kind of roughly shape that. As it's kind of blocky as it comes down, but it disappears behind. Why have I curved that like that? Let's put that way, taking it that way. This curves down. We know we've got a fairly deep cut into the rock there, and then this is where the kind of grassy area becomes rock, and you can see you can see how much of it is slowly kind of wearing away, and that's that bit there. This then continues down to there, and this is where the grass stops. Then it comes down like that, actually you can bring that up a bit more like that. Yeah, like that. This comes to here, and this cliff face continues going on a bit of a slant. I really need to make sure I've got that. and then this bit which sticks in and out like that. This then needs to come out a bit more. I kind of thought it might do. That's fine because this bit's fine. That just needs to come out. Right, now we've got that and we've got that. We've then got this one to do. We know that where we've got this lump, I think I need to bring this out a little bit more to here. It's not quite the right, I wasn't quite happy with that shape. I think that's a bit better. In fact, no, still not right, is it? It's more like that. That's better. And then where that is, you need to come down to about here. And we've got a little bit of a, that comes out, and then it kind of comes up like steps, and then round, and then up, and then it's almost like there's a stone stack, this tiny little thing on the top, as that comes this way, and then kind of comes along for dropping down, and then it comes up on the next stack there. And I think I've gone too far over, so I'm going to start it over here instead. Reason being, I'm just looking at how much space I've got for this bit, and I think this stack is just a little too, it's not close enough together, so we'll do that. We'll bring this stack to here. That's a bit better. Is that more in line with, just trying to work out where it's in line with, so actually it needs to be there before that comes up to here, and then that forms part of this mound as that comes up. How is that so high on the page? What have I done? I don't know. That's fine actually, I quite like it that high. Right, and then that kind of goes off that way. I'm going to bring that forward and that forward, just because I think I want more of that, and that really comes along and then down that way, kind of cuts that way, and that continues that way. This then comes down to here. This is where we start to get kind of all these, this grassy kind of hump, which is on this cliff here opposite, and the grass comes up into that kind of nook there, down, and then across, and it also comes down here and here, like that. And then where this nook is, there's a really nice kind of curved line going down. This one, it kind of comes down, and then you've got this really weird flat shaped rock. I'm assuming that something happened around that period. There is grass up here, so we'll put that grass in up there, like that. That's another cut there, that comes down to there. We've got this gap here, that's our gap, I need to make sure I remember that. This comes down here, remember this is quite a steep line going back this way towards us, to that there. And we've got a nice gap, kind of like a hole there, and then this actually continues from this side. So we've got a little bit there, kind of goes that way and up. And it's on a bit more of a curve there, and then this comes up. And then we've got a kind of weird stacking here, because we've got this one here, which then has a big kind of chasm there, and then that comes up, and that forms part of this stack over here. And then that one goes that way with another stack coming out. I'm just going to move that to there. That comes to where that is, to there. And then we've got, this curves a little bit before coming in there. And then you've got like a little dark bit here. Right. That's probably the weirdest looking shape I've ever drawn before, but actually that quite works really. I like that. So we've got our grassy bits, our cliffs, the other grassy bits. Cool. Hopefully you guys can see that from where you are, because they are quite faint. Even to my eyesight, they're quite faint, which isn't particularly helpful. Right, I'm going to put that out of the way because I won't need those again. No, right. Let us... I want that, but it's a bit... Still got tons of black in it. No matter what I do, this black won't come out of this brush, which is annoying, because I want to get a fair bit of... as soon as I put this brush in the water, it's like, oh look, there's black. Like, it won't come out if I try to wash the brush. I think I really need to do a nice deep clean with that brush at some point, because I can see where there is black in there. I'll just play with this because I want this brush. I don't want the black though. That was clean water, it's not now. It's very, very irritating. How black is this water now? Oh, no, that's fine. Right, let's get some water on first. The pink will run, but don't worry about it, because like the other one and some of the other ones, I know these pens run. They're not permanent ink. Right, that should be enough. Just because I want the watercolour to spread, so I'm putting the watercolour down first, and I always like to do that with these for the bigger areas first. I can use the gouache, but actually it's better with this, and plus this is an absolute stunning granulation colour, and oh, and it's escaping. So it's not one, you know, it's not one that I would forego when doing these sorts of things, because it just is such a gorgeous colour. And yeah, it is a blue. This is called Haze Blue. This is a Schminker Horadam, super granulating. I want to keep it light at the lightish at the top. Remove that, remove that. A bit darker down here. That is lighter on this side, and I will lighten it, and darker on this side because of the shadows. But for the minute, it's nice just to... I'll just put some dark in, just because that will spread nicely. I'm not too worried about it. Quite a lot of shadow because it was quite late in the afternoon for this one, so the sun was already, and in winter, so the sun was already quite low on the horizon opposite us, so because of that it just, you know, it's gonna create these large cast shadows. So just want to create some lines, and yes, I'm well aware it will pill this paper. I have put a lot of water down, so that's pretty normal. So I'm gonna bash this with the sponge. It just creates interesting texture, nothing more than that really. That's going to annoy me. Oh, no, don't touch it because that makes it worse. I mean, I let them dry and just brush them off. This paper does not mind pilling at all, so if it is doing it, don't panic. Honest to God, don't panic. Okay. Just create some little splats because that helps with the getting that texture in. And it just keeps some of that pigment moving a little bit more. Okay, right. That was the easy. That's the easy part really, is getting a base down for that water. Right. Shall we do? What shall we do? We'll do what we did with the other one. Is I'll use a mixture of the other desert super granulating colour from Schminker that I've got, mixed with just some of the Winsor & Newton Cotman Pink, because that's the colour in these cliffs, is almost like a mixed kind of rusty brown with pink. It's very strange, very beautiful though. Unusual to have so many pink cliffs like this in Scotland. Alright, that's got a little bit of everything in, so let's see. We've got to be careful because I don't want it spreading too much into the sky. So I'm going to start up here, I think. And yes, I always start fairly lightly so that I can then work in other colours. So you can see it's kind of like a browny pink that I'm putting down here. Making sure that I've got enough on the brush. And then same over here. Just making this a little bit stronger for this one. This one's slightly more in the shade, and therefore it tends to be a little bit stronger. There's also that line there I want to pull out, because that is there, and then this down here. And then back to this, just bring this in. I like using big brushes on this sort of thing because yes, this is, you know, it's not a massive amount of space. But it means that I can create some stuff really interesting. I knew it, I'd missed that corner that I was going to get into, so I just deliberately keep it out of this for the minute because I can go back over it. You can see some of those kind of more orangey brown tones coming out in the granulator for the ocean, which is good. Now I have mixed a granulating colour obviously with a standard watercolour for this, so yeah, it will be it won't granulate in the same way. Yeah, this is this darker here and down there, like that. Maybe splat a little bit of water on, if I can. Are you going to let me? Okay, pop that there. And I'm going to use one of my smaller brushes just to fix that corner. Come here. Oh, did I not wash you? Make sure I get a lot of water on that because this is quite washed out. So washed out. Yeah, totally washed out. Now I've got a dark patch. I didn't want that. That's better. Just let that mingle. While I'm here though, I could add some more into here and just let this spread. Like I said, the shadows on this came out really far because of how low down the sun was. We want to come into there and then round that one. And obviously I've got a lot of water in the paper already, so that's helping this really kind of spread out on the paper without me adding too much water to the paint I'm actually applying. I'm letting a lot of the existing water in the paper to really kind of push it around, move it. You want to make sure it is dark in this, along there, as we come round. And continue down here, slightly less on this one. It kind of disappears down here. Just wash the edge of that out a little bit so it's not too obvious. I also want to get some of this pink, brown pink, whatever we want to call it, into where the grass is, because it will show through in the grass once we put the grass on. So I'm just seeing where I can visually see it. There's little bits here and there. And still in the same direction. We're still going in the same direction. This paper's, I don't know why, it's got slight resist to it, which is quite funny, but at the same time it's actually quite handy for what we're doing. So that goes that way. It's like a bit here. And yeah, a bit there. I'm going to really make sure we've got some in that corner. And a little bit just showing up through the grass up here in a kind of lighter way. I don't want this too dark. Oh, look. Now that's interesting. So the water has actually really played with the granulating watercolour that I mixed with the non-granulating watercolour. And when I splattered the water on, the granulators grabbed that water and gone whoop and separated. Because otherwise I was expecting some normal blooms, and you can see how much more those blooms are granulated. That's cool. We like that, so we're going to keep that as is. This has to dry. I won't be able to do anything more on it until it is, or should I put the green in? Do you know what? Stuff that. We'll just put the green in. What have we got? We've got yellow. Yeah, it's like a pale. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to use some of the normal watercolour, a little bit of the granulating kind of gingery brown, and then some of this green. Yeah, that might do. It's a little darker than I wanted. Let's add some water. It won't matter too much, because the more I spread it out, the lighter it will be. Some going that way, some in here like that. Just allowing the bigger brush to kind of do all the work, get into all the good places. There's some, yeah, some along that ridge line up there, and then it kind of does kind of come down in patterns down that side. There's also a very small amount over here, so we'll just pop some over here. It'll do its own thing anyway. And then up here, just turning the brush on its edge so I can get that in. Oh, got some in the seat, that's fine. And this bit here. Yeah, you can see the granulation. It's a blue-green that I've used, but obviously I've added these golds and browns in, and it's given us some really gorgeous colour. There's also some of this, again, in here, with our grass. So we'll just get that in. Doesn't matter where. It's just we want patches of it to be able to show through. So that will do nicely. Oh yeah, I forgot that bit's got some grass on it too. So we'll add some of that into there. We'll add some of this, because this has got the green in, so we'll add some of this, but to the grasses area specifically. I'm trying not to get it onto the cliffs. I'll get it everywhere but on the page, it seems. That's a bit better. Right. I'll just lift off some of where I've got it on the cliffs. It won't matter, but it's just, I want to try and keep it on the grass. Right, that needs to dry. So once it's dry, we'll come back to it and we'll do a bit some more. Okay, so we are mostly dry. There's a few spots here and there, but otherwise this is now dry enough to work on, which is great. So the question is, what do I work on first? I have a habit of always working on skies first and then building everything up, but I think, yeah, we'll just have to be very careful about this. I can get rid of this because I'm not going to use watercolours anymore. I don't know where I'm going to put them, behind the cup. That will do. Just because everything else is going to be gouache, pastels, the Neocolours and things like that. In fact, the Neocolors actually might be a really good shout actually, because I can use this to work in this, and also some of these bigger shadow sections on the rocks, because this, for example, comes right up here. So I'm just going to scribble these in. I don't need to really do a lot of detail, I just want to get in kind of the darker shapes where they are. And this shadow in the water here. And I will be very, 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 very careful. I'm only putting on a thin line along the bottom. If I wash this out, it is so strong. I am definitely getting more of these. These poppies are really great for sketches and stuff. So I definitely want to get some more of these. I don't know which ones yet, but yeah, and I like buying them individually because I like to be able to pick the colours that I want. But at the same time, I just wish they had a little bit more. I don't know where that's going. It's not going in the direction I want it to go. So we're just kind of putting these lines in. This does go right the way to the tip there. And you can't really see because it kind of starts to touch this. But I'm just putting lines in because that's what it is. It's all quite, it's a sea, it's ripply. Although weirdly enough, the ripples in the photo I'm using, and I normally use the videos, but I'm using a photo for this one, are actually kind of bending in the shape of the shadow, but I don't think it's because of the shadow, obviously. I think what it is the outcropping, the rocks pushing the water ripples in the same directions as what you're seeing for the shadows. It's actually quite cool. I never really thought it would possible to do that, but actually, now I think about it, that does kind of make sense in a really roundabout way. This is where it gets a bit different. There's actually a small rock down here that I haven't put in. This is where it's darkest down here. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in as this comes down, like that. You can kind of see the shapes there that this is creating. And out here, yes, there's a little bit here. We'll do the dark bit there. There isn't much. Now you can see, now I put this on top, suddenly this darker grey blue granulating watercolour that I've put down for the water is now looking light compared to what we've now put down. That's why I love working with these sorts of things. Now, pretty much all of this section is darker, so I just need to work out what I want on the darkness scale and where, because I've got the black charcoal pencils and I love working with those, and I will put those over the top. So I just want to get some of this violet in first. So this is a blue violet. That's the line there for that cliff shape there, as that comes up. And I'll just add some in here. And then this, there's a really gorgeous kind of shaped curve here and here I want to get in, so make that darker. There's a little bit of darkness here. There's like a little cut bit in the grass here on this grassy slope, so we'll add that in. And where are we going? Up here where we've got this, I want to get some in here. There's quite a large cut in the rock there, and then this goes up there and down. Just move that out of the way. This bit's fine, but as this comes down, a large cut here, and this kind of cuts that way. It cuts quite dramatically that way, so we'll just put that in. Kind of ties in with this rock here. Obviously we've got, where is it, here, this kind of comes that way and up, and then at the edge of this comes down. In fact, actually it's there, it comes down. That kind of joins it over there. And we've got this big wide cut here, and it goes off that way and that way. And then quite a large section of this. We've lost our kind of shape, but that's fine because I can always get that back. And then along here we've got that bit, which is the cut on this round slab that's down here, and this bit which comes like that. This sticks out and comes down there, and that comes round there, and that comes down, it curves, and then we've got a second bit that kind of sticks out and comes down there, and then that comes down, and then it's darker. So we're going to do our up there, like that. And that's the same, and then we've got this cutting in here. Remember, I don't need much of this because miraculously it will suddenly become very, very dark in a minute. And there's a bit there I want to get in and a line to there. So that's not a lot, but I kid you not when I say this stuff gets everywhere. So I'm only going to use a small paintbrush, a little bit of water, and we'll start with here. You see what I mean? The colour is absolutely amazing, but at the same time, it gets absolutely everywhere because it's so strong. It's weird, some of the colours of the Neocolors are really super strong, and some of them are like really pale. So I'm not wanting to add too much water to them, just enough to activate and spread it slightly so that I can create some nice shadowy areas. I'm dropping on quite a bit of water just so it keeps moving and that I'm not going to allow it just to take over everywhere. I'll just let it activate and then let it grow where it is. In some respects, the less water the better with a colour this dark. Always surprises me. I mean, on the paper, even just as like a crayon, it's still, you know, nice dark tone colour, and in some respects I like the colour that it provides. But as soon as you add water, oh my gosh, is it saturated and a half. What I want to do is see what I can do about this this water. So what I want to do is just very lightly touch around this line with a fair amount of water. So I'm literally dropping the water onto the page. That just allows it to spread from this line whilst not getting too far out on this page. When you see it like that, you can see kind of see where it is. See, I want to keep some of the lines that are down, but also let it spread in between that. Even just putting water on top of it, the lines just melt into the water and then spread by themselves anyway. And we will do the same on this side. So just going along the line there, and then a bit more water, and just bring out some of this. And where there's too much water, I can soak it up and then just add it to the rest of this. And there's other colours going down. So yes, I know this looks very in your face at the moment, but don't panic. Because that looks ridiculously dark when you see it like that. That's not how it will look once it's finished though. Same here. And we've got these bits. Just adding a little bit of water and lightly brushing over the top, so I'm not really intently picking up the colour, I'm just letting it bleed out with the water. I'm also putting pools of water behind it and then allowing it to touch, and that just allows it to spread. A little bit here, a little bit here. And then we've got our line here. Where we let the water touch that I'm putting down, it touches that line, and that line just kind of seeps and spreads into that, along with this here. Right, now it looks scary because now we've got some really lovely dark contrast going on. I'm going to take some of that water up there because I don't really want that as dark as it is, but it is spread from here. So we'll take some of that up so that it's not looking too strong. Cool, that's cool. Right, grey. Where's the grey? There's the grey. So this is another good one. I love getting this one in onto these rocks. There is grey in amongst it, and you can see it. It's more pink on the top, and we know it's more grey on the bottom. I'm going to try and avoid the wet areas at the moment. I don't want this spreading too far, and it will if I'm not really careful with it. So this is going to be another one of those, just colour it in, kind of mix where it's going. There's a big patch of grey here. Another one there. Another block there. I kind of find blocks on this side. It's really, really weird. I remember that this grass is very bitty as it comes down, so I need to kind of pull the rocks into this, into the grass area, so it looks a bit more natural, shall we say. Right, bring the grey there, where that is. Okay, so let's work along this hill here, leaving bits and pieces where the pink is. Like a block here that I want to get in. There's lots of blocks, but what I don't want to do is just keep doing loads of this. I would spend ages working on this if I did all the details, and I don't want to do that. So I need to just make sure that, you know, we're all kind of going in the right direction. Like that. That goes there. This is our block here, this block of pink here, so I need to avoid that. So I'm just gonna, oh, I touched the wet. Now I've got a lot of grey there, but never mind. This one's also kind of coming in and out like that. And along that line there, so bring that into there, just darken it where that cutting is. And then we've got that bit, which I'm gonna stick there. Remember, it's darker on this side and lighter on that one. And then all these going that way for some bizarre reason. We've changed direction, or at least the rocks have changed direction, going that way. This has got this double cutting in here, so this is darker. Before it joins this down. Got another bit here. There is a lot of grey where the grass meets. Right, going on to this, we've got our pink there. Another one there. And then a lot of this, oh, we've got the grass there. Don't forget the grass. Now we've got this bit, which comes across and behind this weird little stone pinnacle thing, which I'm just going to do like that. And this is where it's significantly more grey at the bottom here. So we're just the grey mixing with this purple at the bottom here. But most of this is grey. So it should come along here. And where we meet this hump, where this stone stack bit comes out, all of that is grey. Or at least grey-ish. We know we've got this here, which is fine. It cuts in like that. Then we've got another grey section down there, and down there, and there. Remember what I said, all the grey rock tends to be at the bottom, and the pinker rock tend to be on the top for these rock formations. Just trying to work out where they go. So they're going to cut and then down like that. And the same here, once we get to this part, it's all pretty much down. Apart from that bit. Here again. Oh, that's on a bit more of a skew, isn't it? Yeah, like that. And then we've got bits going that way and bits going that way. Of course you do. Wouldn't have it any other way, would we? Same, all this being grey down here at the bottom. See, so the cliffs are now starting to have some shape. Just going to check that we are in focus. We are. You can see all that. Now, what do I want to do about it though? I could use this sponge actually and just wet it. The dabbing will just activate it and also will allow it to spread slightly, but not much. Although I do want to get it into that crevice there, which is annoying me. How have I got green on that now? What? Where did that come from? And also bear in mind this page is curling, so we just want to get that in. So you see we're keeping the lines, we're just letting it get wet. And what likes to happen is that it just moves around a little bit, but not too much. Because we've got lots to do yet, so I don't want it flying off doing its own thing. Oh, that I did not intend to do, although actually I might do us a favour doing that and just getting that grey a bit in and that bit there and a darker bit down here. Oh, a lot more water on that than I thought there was. Let's just scoop that up because I'm losing some of this grass. I mean, I'll put some of it back in, but I don't want to lose too much of it. Like that bit there. Right, I need that. Again, we'll let that dry. We'll work on this side. What do I do with them? There's the violet. Put the violet back in there so I don't lose it. The other colours I've got in here, which I'll probably might use them today, is I've got these two. One is more brown, one is more orange. I'm probably going to go for more the brown because it's got a little bit more of the pink tones. This has got a little bit more of the yellow tones in it. I've got a beautiful apricot. I don't want to really use that unless I want to bring out some highlights. I've got some lighter blue, which we might play with actually with the sea before we add whites in. So we'll go back to the grey crayon and bring this in. We know that we've got this bit here, which is our kind of weird shaped flat rock that's going on here. And we know that that bit's grey, and then the top of it's kind of more pink. There's a little grey, a little amount of grey in it, so we'll put a little bit in. Same here, where that cutting is. And then we'll cut into there and there. This is a little bit wet, so it's just activating it, which means I'm getting slightly more than I wanted, but actually that's fine. There's like a little pool of water here, but I don't really want to get that in, so we're just going to ignore it. You know, the way that you do when you're a creative, you pick only what you want to paint and not what's directly there. And there's good reasons for that, because a lot of the time you can't get the perfect reference image, or you can't paint the perfect scene when it's in front of you, because not everything is where compositionally it would make a great painting. So you have to be really careful about kind of what you put where. Where is that come from? Where is that even going? Oh. Let's just pick up the splats I've just done it. Right, you guys, stop trying to escape. You're ruining my water on top of that. Right. Yes, I want you grey, which is fine. I just don't want that grey, honestly. I'm just going to squeeze the water out of the sponge. I love a good sponge brush. They're really good. This has gone quite watery up there, but that's fine. Right, stop getting water everywhere. Go back to this. This lot is a lot lighter. I'm really conscious of that, so I just want to make sure that we keep all the lightness that we've got here. This bit here is slightly darker. I think this panel here is catching the light more. So we'll kind of bring that in and that up to there, like that. I think that's better. Yeah, that's better. This isn't completely in shade, but it's a little bit more than the rest. This is what's weird. That over there is like really bitty with its with where the grass is, but on this side it's a lot more cut. There's like a darker line that kind of follows that round. We know we've got another darker line here. And then this kind of comes in and out, so actually just gonna create a little bit more interest on that. There's a little dark patch here. So it looks more like that. And then here we've got a lot of lines kind of going like that. And this section will be darker because it's more of the dark, kind of heading into the grey stone rather than the pink. So I don't know why I've just turned that round and using the bottom, but there we go. Let's turn it back round. And we'll get that. And then we will just dab this with this sponge that supposedly wasn't that wet, and turns out it is. I always forget how much water these things hold, and then that causes me problems when I'm not thinking about it. Like I said, I'm not mixing this, I'm just dabbing to activate the grey and then letting it kind of wander where it will. Like that. What happened there? I have no idea, but I've stuck with it now. And actually, while I've got some of that grey on, I'll put some down here. It's like a darker grey patch down here. I don't have much on the sponge, but it's enough that I can kind of go, yeah, down there. Like that. Are we going in the right direction? I hope so, but I think so. This has got a little too wet and too overworked here, and I kind of figured that would happen. It's fine. Right, that needs to dry. I'm not going to be able to do anything more on that until that is dry, so we will leave that and let it dry. Okay, so this is all really nice and dry. You can see how well this blue, purple, violet's come out. It's such a gorgeous colour. Right, so I want to do some more work on the cliffs and just bring out a little bit more of the colours and kind of, at the moment the purple's great, but I need a bit more contrast before I start getting in with the charcoal. And I think the best way to do that is, I've got two options. I can use one of the other Neos. So I've got the brown and I've got the orange. I think the orange is going to be too intense. The brown might do it, but I'm really worried about losing too much of this pink, because there is brown tones in there. Let's go with the brown. I've got a red, brown and pinks in the gouache, so I can always add that in. So this is more grey, so I need more grey in this section. So I'm just kind of looking at where some of this is. I can come in and out of, especially around up here. Go across like that. And then we've got, I think this got too wet because we've lost this kind of weird shaped strip that's here, and it comes along there, and it comes up and then back that way. I think we've just kind of lost that slightly to where the water was, but that's fine because I can put that back in. Love doing this. Maybe, what do you guys think? Should I do one of these bigger? You know, I've got the 100 by 70 centimetre cartridge paper in now, and you know, I could do this much bigger. So I don't want to put too much of this in. It's a little bit more orangey than I want. It's less orangey than the other one though, so I might have to go in with some more of the pink, but let's just, we'll see, because I've got to keep remembering that I've got the grass still to do, and I've got the charcoal coming in on top of this, so that's less of a problem. I need to bring this out a little bit because I kind of lost it. Kind of like that. It's looking a little odd now. That line does come down there though. It does form this kind of weird shape, but I think I need to come up with this brown a little bit more and add some grey in there. But we'll do the brown first because otherwise things are going to get complicated. This has got some really funky lines across it, so that's what we'll do there. And then there's some of it across here. There's like another line before it then comes down into some of this grey. I could use, actually, I might use some of the grey from the gouache instead. I think that might be better. And there's a lot more of the pink, brown and oranges up here. This stack got to come up like that. And then it's all lines kind of cutting in and out, going that way, before it kind of comes down here. And it kind of goes round like that, joining that bit. We've got that curve there. This comes down here, but obviously the page turns in the way, so it kind of interrupts that. There's a really nice band. What's going on here? Oh, I know what that is. That's this rock formation here, so I need to really build that back out again, because we've kind of lost it a bit with the expansion of the violet. But it actually comes out like that and down. There's another piece down here. It comes out like that. I think that's probably what that problem is. So I kind of lost it slightly, but that's fine. That kind of goes that way. And then this has got like a few lines and a few cracks going like that, up and round this piece here. And then there's a lot more up here. We've got this line actually follows to there. Where's it going? That way. It goes up to there and down that way. And then we've got a little bit on this kind of mound thing on the top here, but mostly on this side. And this is down here. I need to get some of that grey back in, I think. So any more brown coming into this. There's a little bit here, kind of section that kind of comes up like that and up like that, going that way, and it kind of spreads that way. So we'll put that in. And then again, we'll go in with the finer brush. It's not a fine brush, but it is a finer brush. Get that in. Just add some of that in because it will orange out a bit more. Love the amount of colour I can get in this because these are so pigmented. Trying to focus on where this is going because it's just forming crazy paving style pattern going across. And up, kind of like that. And then up here, got this bit. This kind of looks a lot better now, which is good. I'm just dabbing water onto that because I don't want to pick up too much. This has got to come down, so I want to bring some of this down here and that as well. And then on the other side where the line is, and then we've got these lines that form those rock stacks up here. Same here. I think possibly is slightly too orange, but actually it still works. Value-wise, I think that's the important thing. Value-wise, it still works. It isn't necessarily an accurate occurrence of colour, but do you know what? I like it. It's fun. That's kind of what I wanted. It's a bit more, something a bit more fun. See where that rock goes? There is actually rock under here. So I'm just going to grab some of that and put that in there. I think that's the problem, is this looks almost too much like it's continued and it's not. There's rock underneath it. It's actually a hole, but never mind. Okay, let's get some on this side. I don't want to put too much in on this side. I want this side to be kind of more bright. Not bright, that bright is the wrong word. Colourful, I suppose. Because I kind of like what I've got going on here. So we'll only put a little bit in. Very, very lightly. Because most of it is kind of going down, following this line. Apart from there where it just kind of goes a bit crazy. So we'll come down. A lot of jagged rocks, so it kind of sticks out in all sorts of weird shapes. And a bit there, there's a little bit on this as well actually, so I'm going to get that in there. And bits and pieces along here. There's more grey on this side. And the same here actually, there's bits and pieces. Before it kind of becomes grass. That's probably all that I want to put on that. I don't want to overdo it on this side. You can see how strong this stuff is. As soon as I add water, you can see how bright it is. I'm loving these. I want more of them. Although really what I should say is I've seen the colour range on these and they are so good that I just wish there were more colours. wonder if we can convince them to get more colours. And there's a little bit, just a little bit here. I kind of got in just there. Okay, right. That's a ridiculously bright orange. Good to know. I want to get this grey in. Let me get the grey. I'm going to move this lot out the way for a minute. Where are you, grey? You're over here. I'm not sure how dark this is going to come across because it's not dark, and it might not be dark enough for what I want, but we shall see. This kind of steps down following this, so I'm just kind of dragging the brush down or up. both directions, because my worry is this is gouache, and if it's dark like this now, it's probably going to get lighter when it dries, and I'm like, that might be a problem, because that's not what I want, but we shall see. This is this rocky section here that actually cuts in there, and it's got lots of little bits that kind of come in from the top, across there, and up from there. I'm not wanting to hide this, but it is kind of important. Just get a little bit of water and spread some of this grey out, so we've got a bit more of this grey on this rock up here. Just because most of this side's more grey on this side, I need that to kind of come across really well. Pop that in there. Lots of these sections that are coming down as well as across. We cut into this orange section here. And I'm just almost dry brushing this on. It's not quite having the effect I wanted. Thankfully, like I said, the black will help bring this back in, because it will pick out where all the shadows are. So I'm conscious that will probably solve a lot of these problems, but realistically, most of this section needs to be more grey than it currently is. Same here. Now we lost a lot of this, and I don't know why, and I think I just let it get too wet, and then when I wasn't looking it ran. So I need to kind of bring this shape back in. Little square bit there. Kind of comes down and along. I'll just add a little bit more water and just allow that to kind of blend out into these. And the same further up. This has got some, I'm just gonna blend through and get some of these lines back. Okay, that's a bit better. It's a little bit more grey, which probably doesn't make sense, but don't worry about that. Now what I want is some of this light blue. So this is white with a blue tint. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I need to get some of this down and start working on some of this sea while this dries, and then I can work on both sides. I think I've put too much of the grey down, but we'll see how it looks once it's dry. We've lost the shadow here, which is a bit irritating. Do I want to put that back in? Yeah, I need to put that back in before I put the lighter colour in. I'm being stalked by one of my cats as well, and this kind of goes in like that and round. In actual fact, while we're here, we can tidy some of that up. Oh, that's better. For some reason, I think it was just because I lost some of this, that it's kind of just disappeared rather than actually appeared. So, right, let's bring you back out. You actually come all the way out like that. And you as well. I don't want to lose too much of this again, so I'm going to just very lightly touch this with this. And then bring some of those lines back with the water. I want to wash this line out a bit because it's just a little too strong for what I wanted. These are the lines coming this way. And now I've done that, we can go in with this blue. So blue, it's pretty much white, and just get in there with this. It's quite, it's not, yeah, it's hard to see. But that's fine. It's just about where water's kind of rippling and having fun. Like this is all kind of rippling, this is all rippling. I'm trying to keep the paint quite thick so that it's not too transparent for what I want to do. Where are we going with this? This one comes down a bit more, so I need this to come this way. It really does cut in here. There's a little bit of foam around there as well. Might have to add some white, we'll see. Let me just come back round to this corner, just make sure we're getting all this in. Just want to get some of this up here. I'm just going to make this a little bit more transparent. This is a slightly warmer colour than what's in the sky. Oh wow, this isn't sky. What am I talking about? This isn't even sky. This is all sea. I'm just getting a little bit of this up here so that it kind of blends with everything else. I want to get rid of that bit there around. I want to get a little bit more of this in here. I'll just create some little lines where it's lighter. That's a bit better. Quite like that. That looks cool. Really like that. I think what I might do is I might go back over some of it once it's dry with the Neo, just to give a little bit of texture and body back. What I want to do now is I want to get some colour down on to this, onto these grassy areas, and also build up a little bit more colour in the grass on top of the hills. So the first thing I want to do is get a bit more of a green down, I think. Not too much, but a little bit more. Oh, I don't want it too vibrant. It's quite a scraggly brush, so it's going to make a lot of brush marks, but that's fine. A bit more green along those lines. And don't panic, because the green that's actually, it's not green that's going on this, it's yeah, it's a nice golden colour. It will go on top of all this, and it will allow a lot of this to show through. In the meantime, I can get a little bit more of this. Not enough water on there though. See, now I've made an absolute mess of it. Haven't I? Yeah, because it's not that green. Duh. Great. That's a bit better. Oh, too much. If I dab it out, it'll be fine. Oh, I don't want a white gap there, so it will look too, it will show through too much. Right, let's get some of this yellow colour. I've got two options on which one I want, and it's, actually I've got three. Which one do I want? I think I want this one actually. We'll use this one, see how it looks. Like, I need to work on that one a bit more. Here. We'll have some of the gold in. Slightly too gold now. It's now slightly too yellow, but there we go. We can put the lighter colours over the top. I just really wanted to get this golden kind of colour in, because it's such a contrast to the rest of what we've got going on. It's kind of nice to be able to kind of add that in. It's all coming up on both sides like that, and then we can add some of this into our grass up here. I really could do that actually, the paler yellow, I think. What do we want? This one. Is this paler? Yeah, that's paler. That's what we want. ignoring the cat hair, we can just get some of this in. Look at the colours on that, isn't it beautiful? Love that. Right. Now the question is, how dry is it for me to get the charcoal pencils on it? Also, could use the scraper actually, see if I can scrape some of this. Oh, I can. We've got I'll be going over it with the pencil, so it doesn't matter too much, but what I can get from it will kind of help. It's nice just to get some kind of texture. My worry was we're going to lose too much of that, but actually, only that's not going to be a problem. That's even better now, I've got some texture into it. Right, what was I doing? Charcoal. Which one's this? That's the hard. That's the medium. I want the medium. Let's just sharpen it a bit. Ooh, look at that, pointy. Pointy, pointy. That's what we like. Right, I'm going to stand up a minute and take a look, see where we're at. Yeah, we're kind of getting there. So, what's dry and what isn't? And what shall I avoid? This is all dry, so I can work down here for the minute. We know this has got a fairly large dark patch here. It cuts across there and comes down. It comes out there. You see, this is what I meant when I said you start adding the charcoal and suddenly you get just enough of that definition for us to really suddenly start making sense. This actually should have been the bigger one of the holes, but it's on a weird angle, so missed it. Kind of goes up and then that way. A large cut in there as that kind of goes up. We've obviously got our weird shaped kind of flat thing here, which we're just going to mark out there. Actually, it stops there and then goes down like that. It has these lines like that. And here, we just want to emphasize some of that grass there, where it kind of cuts in and out. And then if we come up this way, we've got this edge here. It kind of comes down like that. There's kind of like a dark bit there that then kind of shoots off. Whoop, not that far. Shoots off that way. Not that far though. And then underneath it we've got another like square piece. And as this comes up, it's a little bit darker going that way. As usual, it's a lot darker, all the lines coming down here. Remember, a lot of the grasses will be going that way anyway, so I'm not worried about kind of where that is. And then up here, bear in mind this is still slightly wet, we've got some kind of little divots. We've got a nice line as part of the track there that comes down. And then that there. I think I've just got this on my arm, which is not a surprise. Where are we going? We've got like a block here. Actually, it's here, but I can worry about that later. Little pieces of this kind of flick out like that. And down. And then, yeah, that comes to there and down. And now Coco has decided to climb up on the chair behind me. So it's alright, you guys don't really see my other cat very often because she's elderly. She has epilepsy, arthritis and all the regulars, so she doesn't really get up that often. She's on new painkillers, that seems to have helped. Now she's just pestering me more, which doesn't help me. Helps her, because in order to stop her pestering and climbing onto the paintings, I have to give her biscuits. So I think her method of working does seem to work. And then where are we going? Bring this down. There was a big, oh yeah, we've got this bit here, which actually probably should have been further up. Oh, actually no, because I've got two of these, so I need to do that one. And then I think because of this page bit here, I've kind of missed that. We've got this one here. Coco, are you going to sit down? Wait, where are you going? Hi. Don't know what this cat's doing behind me. I don't think she knows either. She's trying to slowly wedge me off the chair, I think. You know how cats work. They get on the chair behind you, and then somehow or another, you're slowly finding yourself shifting forward to accommodate them until you're literally right on the edge of your chair about to fall off. And then you're like, how did I end up in this again? Because I'm pretty sure this is my chair. Accordingly, no, it's not. Where am I going with this? This kind of goes this way. It's just got lots of lines that go up. And this kind of flattens out a little bit at the top here, and it has a shelf as this comes down. And then we've got this nice dark crevice here, which kind of leads up to this section, and our curve there, and then another one here, which kind of leads up to this cliff top edge here. And then this actually should go further up. It kind of cuts in at the top here. And it's fairly dark up there too, so bring that in. As that kind of comes down. Oh, she's given up and got off. Yay, I won. This is all looking a little blank, so I kind of need to get these lines in. They've got like kind of lines going like that. And this does indeed have this shape going that way. There's a little thing in there, and then down here I've got this bit, and then that continues up almost like steps, like stepping stone steps to get to there, and that one goes to there. And then up here, kind of, it's not really very dark up here. It's kind of annoying because it's darker over here. Come down to there. Could do with getting a little bit more texture in actually up here. At the moment, this is looking a little bare, and yeah, it's difficult because it is supposed to be just a grassy knoll, but at the same time, you know, can't be completely devoid of anything, which is annoying. It's kind of what I want, but we'll just do this and just put some of these patterns in that's kind of around. There's a lot of this kind of squiggle going on. especially going up here, it kind of stems from the side as it goes up. Like that. Maybe that's a bit better. Have that shape going that way. These need a little bit of work, but it's still a bit damp around there, so don't want to go and get too much going on there. There's like a little triangular bit here which I can put in, kind of like that. Yeah, that's better. Right, heading back to this, we've got our little rock stack here. This has a lot more darker sections on the back. Like that. Is this dry enough to work on? Doesn't look it. Trying to leave it to last so that it's okay. What I don't want to do is kind of make it look too cartoony by kind of tracing effectively where all the rock lines are. So I'm just putting in occasional ones where I absolutely need to kind of really emphasize where there's darker bits and lighter bits. That really helps with the value and contrast. As we're coming this way, we're going to go back up and that way. And like a darker bit there. Trying to work out where that one's going. That one's going that way. That one's going that way. And then that's more lines going that way. So it kind of looks like that. Here, I've got a little dark patch here. And the line kind of comes that way and along. A bulky bit there, and it kind of does that. And this kind of then goes up like that, and that goes that way. And this corner here has got a little dark bit as that comes that way and that way. Yeah, it's still damp there, so I'm trying to be really careful. It's like a rock bit there, and then this is quite dark. And then there's a line that comes along there. And then it comes down and across, that one goes across there, and there's a really finer one along there going that way. And then from here, there's another one that goes along and down, and then up. Like that. Okay, that's a bit better. Let's do this one. So we want just little lines. It's like stopping and starting, but that kind of breaked up format actually works really well for just kind of hinting at this is an edge without it being too edgy. You guys must laugh at the amount of weird words I come out with. Even I think, what? Sometimes. Still love it though. Now we've got this line here. This needs to be darker. As this comes out and down that way, and then up to that, along with there. We've got this dark bit under here, and there's a little kind of stone shelf thing that sticks out, and then that comes to there. And then this comes down. Ignore the rock face part there, and comes down to there. And then that kind of weirdly comes like that. And then that's dark there. And then that's dark there. So that comes back into that. And there's a line there. Another one there. And we can, there's another one there. There's a crack line here, which we're going to take that way. This line here, I'm just going to darken that. It's a darkened spot on that side there. And then this, there's a little bit here. It goes that way. Another one doing that way. And this kind of curves, and the last bit curves down, kind of curves like that. And this is kind of all rocks, but it's all going that way. There's a slightly darker one there going like that. Another one slightly darker there coming down, but also kind of going up like that. And that continues that way. And it's got like a secondary line above it like that. Rock faces are funny things really, aren't they? They're just never really sure what you're going to get, and they're so intricately patterned. I really do love drawing rock faces. Must be mad though, because they are a lot more complicated. A lot of this is rocks and rubble, so there's not really a lot of lines there. But there's a line there, another one coming up there, another one there, there's one here, like a little dark bit there, top, a divot I suppose you could call it, another one there, another one there. And down here there's absolutely loads of them. Kind of not really sure where the rocks start and the grass actually ends. That will do. That will do. I feel like I need to do some more kind of slightly heavier lines down here. This is supposed to be darker on this side, and whilst it is, it's still not as dark as I kind of like it. It's this bit's bugging me. I don't know why. Is that better? Maybe a bit better. Right, this is mostly dry, so what I do, a whole load of pencils here. I've got two kind of yellowish ones. Do I want to do a black one first though? Yeah, let's do the black lines first. There is some really faint, darker lines that look pretty much black. That'll do. I don't want too many of them, but there's enough that I'm like, yep, I need to kind of get them in. It's just about deciding where they go. And this line here actually as well. I'm just putting some pencil down and then blending it out on my finger. Because this is where there's like a cutting in. Like that. Bring that down. Do that. This needs to be a bit more. There's a lot more of it, and the lower down we get to this, and we get to here. I'm going to blend that out. It'll make a lot more sense. That's a bit better. I'm blended out my lines though. Where else have we got some? We got some. Like that. Where are we going? This side. Trying to be really careful with where I'm putting them. I don't want too many, but then again at the same time I want enough to make sure we got that kind of feel for being a grassy slope. Kind of like that, that's fine. This is our kind of pale yellow. It will pick up the charcoal, so I'm just wiping it on my finger. I'm not digging too hard actually for this one. It's doing most of the work for me. I'm keeping the lines as thin as I can. I don't want it to kind of look too cartoony. Yeah, it doesn't like going over the Neocolors unless the Neocolor's been blended out with water. Otherwise it's like, no, I'm resisting. I'm like, no, don't you dare resist. I want you down. I've got a lighter one here. These are so transparent, it annoys me sometimes how transparent these like to be. Better. And just make sure I get some kind of random long ones occasionally. And then even whiter still with the white. How's that? That's looking pretty good. We have all these little kind of flowers. They're like little white flowers. And I can use this. There's not many of them, and they all are on one side. There's actually, in fact, I tell a lie, there's a few just down here. Like that. Is that better? That's better. Am I happy with that? Kind of. I feel like I haven't really got the little bit of foam that's down there, and the other bit that's kind of like around there. Oh, and I've lost my light. That doesn't help. But that's cool. I'm happy with that anyway. So we kind of got there in the end. Hopefully you guys can still see that. But we are done anyway. Shall I pick it up and make it closer? Yeah, let's pick it up. There we go. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. If you guys have got any questions or just want to say hello, please do so in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you all soon for another video. Have to put the book down. Bye! Ta-ta for now!